Hey guys, so I am hoping that someone will jump on so I can see that you can hear me. I am going to show you how I do my edit my mockups. So you can download the Bummy file for free, and it's going to be a PSD file, and Photopea.com is also free. I'm going to go ahead and jump on there and just show you that Photopea, it is www.photopea.com right there. So I'm going to go to that, and it is very similar to Photoshop. It's free, it's online, but it's pretty similar. If you have an Android, this might be an option for you. So I'm going to go ahead and open up my file. So I clicked open from computer. I already have mine ready on my desktop right here. So here you can see this is the Bummy file that you will download when you purchase the Bummy mockups. I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Oops. And it has now pulled in my Bummy file. Now that I have that, I just want to point out a few things. So on this right hand side, you're going to see a whole bunch of layers. So don't panic. This is a layered file. So it means that there are different elements of this that we can add our prints to. I want to show you how to toggle the layers on and off. So here in these little boxes, you can see little eyes to make them visible. So I actually have written instructions if you forget, that I might edit these if they're not helpful. This is the Photoshop instructions. It's pretty similar to Photopea. There are a few differences, and I'm going to toggle that off. I also have instructions in the file if you were going to open this up in Procreate, and I will try and do a video for that as well. So I'm toggling those off. They're still there. I can still see them if I want to, but I'm choosing to keep them off for now. I obviously don't want those. Let me see if this is working. Okay. All right, so now you're looking at these other layers. Every layer that has a lock next to it is an element of this file. So you have a waistband front, and it's labeled over here. That's your waistband front layer. You have a waistband on the inside, which is going to be about here. You have the body of the Bummy, which is going to be this part. And then there are bands, so a left leg band, and then if the photograph has an inside of the band showing, then I have done separate layers for that so that it looks more realistic. You want this to look as real as possible, just to give people an idea. So then there's the right leg band, oops, here, a right inside of the leg band, etc. Down at the very bottom, these two layers, layer 1 and shadows, you're not going to want to mess with those at all. That's why I have them locked. If you toggle them off, the shadow goes away and it looks a lot less realistic. And then the background. So you can change the color of your background, and I have that at the very bottom. We'll play with that here in a minute. So I want to show you how to add prints to this. I'm going to go back up to the top left corner under File, and I'm going to open. And then I already have my folder open. I'm going to go ahead and do these checkers. I'm going to open that, and it will pull it into the window. So if I drag it, oh, it won't let me do that. Well, I can toggle back and forth between these two. So you see here at the top, there's the Bummy flat lay, there's the checkered file. We're only going to need this checkered file once, so these files can be pretty big. I recommend changing the size of this before we add it as a pattern. So you're going to go to Image, scroll down to Image Size, and change this to inches. Pixels, most people don't think in pixels, I think in inches. So it's a 12 by 12 file, which is pretty big. I'm going to scale mine at 4 by 4 just for this purpose. It is completely different when you print your fabric. This is just for the purpose of this mock-up. So 4 by 4 inches, I'm going to click OK. It's made it smaller. Now be careful not to save that file. You don't want to alter your original file. Next, I'm going to define a pattern with this. So go back up to Edit in the top left, and you're going to scroll down to Define New, and then it drops down a menu here, and you're going to Define New and choose Pattern. So now it has done something really cool. It has taken this print and it has saved it as a pattern. So I don't need this file anymore. I'm going to exit out of it. And it says, do I really want to close it? It's not going to save. Yes, I want that gone. So that's gone. Now we're back to our bummies. Next, I think I want to do checkers on the waistband. So come over to your layers over here on the right hand side where my mouse is, and the very top layer says Fill. Waistband front. So you'll notice it says fill and there's a little arrow. That just means that this layer is clipped, so it will only show up on the front waistband section. So I have selected that layer, so just click on the fill so that it's selected. You can see it's highlighted right here. Then all you need to do is go up to Edit again at the top left, and we're going to choose Fill. So we're going down to Fill, and now it gives us some options. Foreground would be the color. So down here on the left hand you'll see there are colors, like a color palette. We don't want a solid color. We could do a solid color, but we're going to want a pattern. So click that drop down menu, go all the way down to Pattern, and it brings up our patterns. When I click on that square right there, I'm going to see my pattern show up that I just saved. So I'm going to click on that, and then I'm going to click OK. That's it. So it is on my waistband. Now, those checkers are kind of big. I would prefer them to be smaller, and that's okay. So it is okay to change the size of this fill. It is not going to hurt anything. So go back up to Edit up at the top. We're going to go down to Free Transform. Click on that. And then you'll notice all these little squares just showed up here on each corner of this layer. So you can see them along the outside. When I hover over a corner, it turns into an arrow, like a kind of a corner arrow, and I can actually click and drag this and make it more of an angle. I can drag it back. I can do all kinds of cool stuff. What I want to do is resize this so it looks more accurate. So I'm just clicking and dragging it down. And now where did it go? You'll notice it's still there, just that this layer is instructed to only show up on my waistband. So I need to drag it back over my waistband. You know, you can rotate it. I don't know, maybe you want your checkers smaller, that's fine. There we go. So that one's done. Click, you're going to hit enter on your keyboard to get that to go away. So we've filled our waistband. That's the front. Notice there's this back part here. So let's go ahead and fill that as well. We already have our pattern saved that we want. So I'm going to go over to the right hand side again on my layers palette, and I'm dropping down to my next fill layer, and it's labeled Fill Waistband Inside. So I've clicked on that. Then I'm going to go back up to Edit here at the top. I'm going to go back down to Fill. And look, my pattern is already there. It already knows. And I'm just going to click OK. So now it has populated that back portion. Maybe I don't want it to be perfectly straight. I don't know. You want it to look real. So go back up to Edit. You can free transform again. You can see that all of my little squares showed up again. I can twist it. I can drag it and make it smaller, which I think looks better. So you just want to give it some dimension, right? You don't want it to be the perfect match to the front. You want it to look real. So once you have it the way you like it, hit enter. Now let's bring in a second pattern. I wonder if anyone has joined. Probably not. Oh, hey Cassandra. There is someone. Yeah, I don't know if anybody will use this, but if you buy the bummy file I have free actually. If you happen to grab the bummy file and you want to play around, you can. So next I'm going to go to my bummy body. I want to make that a different print. So I'm going to open up another print. So I'm going to go to File up at the corner. I'm going to click Open. And then I'm going to select a different print. I have this one. So I'm going to click OK. It's loading it in. Hopefully it doesn't crash. Sometimes Photopea crashes and it's a free website, so it's hard to complain, but sometimes it does. So here is my other print. You can see it's in its own window, or its own file. You can see here at the top there's two different tabs. So I'm going to go ahead and define a pattern with this as well. So go back up to Edit, right there. Scroll down to Define New, over to Pattern, and it has added it again. Oh, I didn't resize it. Shoot. I'm going to resize it. So go, my bad. So go to Image first, Image Size. It's already in inches. 12 inches is huge, as we've seen for this purpose. So 4 was even kind of big, so I think I'm going to go with 3. Let's see what happens with 3. Oops. Click OK. And now that I've resized it, sorry, I'm going to go back down to Define New, choose it as a pattern, and it says Pattern Added. Great, so I don't need this file anymore. I'm going to close it. Photopea says, are you sure? Yes, I'm sure. Okay. So that tab's gone away. We're back at my bummies. And now let's go ahead and do our bummy body. So I've already clicked on this layer here that says Fill Bummy Body. Go back up to Edit. Scroll down to Fill. And I get to select a new pattern. Sorry, I have a tickle in my throat. Okay, so there is, you notice there's 2 patterns here. The first one was the large one, and the second one was when I made it smaller. So I'm going to choose that one and click OK. Boom. There it is. That's pretty good sizing. It's a little big for bummies. So if I wanted to look more realistic, I would love to make it a little smaller. So again, all I need to do is go to Edit, to Transform, and, oh no, sorry, Free Transform, my bad. And then I've got my boxes, and now I can hover over this top corner and drag it. That looks a little more realistic. Maybe I want to rotate it a little bit, move it around, however you want. Pretty cool. Hit enter. Now, maybe I want a solid color for my leg bands. Maybe I don't want the checkers. That's fine. So I'm going to go down to my layers over here again on the right hand side, fill left leg band front. Okay. Since I'm going to do a color now, I'm going to go up to edit. I don't have to add a pattern for that. I'm going to go to edit, down to fill. And here, instead of having it as pattern, I'm going to choose custom. And then you'll see this little square appears right next to it. It's black. If I chose the black, or sorry, if I hit OK, it would just be a black band. But instead, I clicked on it. I click on that square. It brings up this whole thing. I can choose all these cool colors. Now if I take my arrow over and I click around inside of this, I can select all the different colors in this file to match it. That's kind of fun. So maybe I want it pink. Okay. Click OK. And now we have a pink band. The one thing I don't like about the solids is that it looks a little funny. And if you want to mess around with the opacity up here, you can. Click up here in the top right of this layers tab, and you can bring your opacity down. You can bring it back up. So that looks a little more realistic, but it's fine. Let's fill our inside leg band with the same pink and see how it looks. So I'm going to go back down to the next layer here that says fill. I'm going to select it, go up to edit, fill, and it already has my pink that I chose, and I'm going to say OK. So now we have a pink band. Now I feel like it looks a little fake with the solid, but it's a mock-up, so what can you do? I can change the opacity a little bit, but honestly it's fine. Maybe I want those to be the pattern instead. I'm like, ugh, I don't like that. Let's make them checkers. That's okay. The only thing I need to do is go back and click on that layer. So like the fill left leg band front that we already did, I'm clicking on that layer. I'm going to go back up to edit, down to fill. And we already had our pattern loaded, so we're going to click on custom, or we're going to click on the fill drop down here, go back down to pattern, and my patterns are back. I'm going to click on this box and select the checkered file that we had before, and then click OK. Now there's my checkers. I really like the way that looks, but it's big again, so let's change the size. So go up to image. Oh no, sorry, my bad. Go, I'm never going to say this right. Go to edit again, back down to free transform, and then I've got my boxes. I can drag and make this layer smaller. Notice if I drag it all the way down, the boxes are over here. It's no longer showing up, so I need to drag it back over to cover that leg band. There you go, that's it. And then I can do the same. Maybe I like that inside pink, I'll just leave it because it adds some dimension. I mean, we want it to look as real as possible. If you're really making this, the inside leg is gonna match the band, but that's fine. Let's do the right leg band in the checkers as well. So we're gonna go back up to edit, fill, click OK. There's our right leg. I'm gonna change the size. You can also, it shows you little shortcuts. If you don't want to have to go to the menu every time, you can do Control-Alt-T. So I'm gonna do Control-Alt-T, and it brings up my little box, and then I can change it. And, oh, I clicked on the wrong thing, my bad. Say you make a mistake, you can go back to edit and undo it. See, easy as that. I was not on the right layer. I was back on this pink layer for some reason. I do, oh, it's right here. So when you move things around, make sure you're on the right layer that you need, otherwise it will obviously not do what you want. So I was in the wrong spot. I'm clicking on that right leg band fill layer over here. Control Alt T. Oops, what happened? Control Alt T. There we go. Drag it. There you can see I'm making them smaller. I'm going to rotate it. Just, you want it to look, you know, a little more random. Click Enter. And then the only thing I have left is my inside leg band. It's that last layer down here, the fill right leg band inside. Go to Edit, Fill. My pattern is already selected. Click OK. And you notice it has done the inside. Oops, I keep hitting the wrong thing. Okay. Control Alt T. I can change the size again. See how it, you can see how it moves around. I don't want it to exactly match up to the front because the fabric wouldn't exactly match up either. I'm gonna go back and change this pink to the checkers because I liked the checkers better. So Edit, Fill, and OK. Control Alt T, and I can change the size. There we go. That's it. Now I'm almost done, but I don't like this gray background. It's kind of boring. Maybe I want it to be something different. So at the very bottom of your layers on the right hand side, there is a fill background color. You can change this to your heart's delight. So I click on it so it's selected, and I'm going to go back up to, oh, where did my, goodness sake, where did my menu go? That's weird. Alright, I don't know what I did. I'm going to go ahead and let's just do it this way then. Let's select a color. So transform controls, no. I swear this website. Okay. This is what I mean when sometimes things don't go right on this website. Oh, there we go. It's my bad. I scrolled down on my scroll bar. Okay. Phew. Okay, so I'm clicking on this background fill color. I can go back up to Edit, Fill. I don't want a pattern on my background. I want it to be a solid color. So I'm going to choose Custom. Oh, there we go. And then I can choose a color. I don't know. Let's see what it looks like with purple. Why not? So I chose purple. I'm going to click OK and click OK. Now I have a purple background. That's kind of fun. But maybe, why is this so small? Make it bigger. There we go. Maybe I don't like purple. I mean, you can play with it all you want. So I can go back to fill. Maybe I want it to be like a lighter color. Click OK. There you go. So I've got my mock-up. Now I need to save it. So you're going to want to save this as a JPEG. You don't want to save it as a PSD file. A PSD file is what you downloaded, and it just means that it's layered with all these layers. A JPEG is like it's just like a traditional picture image. It is a flattened image. So I'm going to go to File, and I don't want to save as a PSD. I'm going to choose, I'm trying to remember how it works on this one. Yeah, there we go. Export as. So we're at File, drop down to Export. Then you can choose. If I want to do a JPEG, that will give us this whole flattened image, and then you can choose the size you want it to be. The bigger the image, the larger the file. 8x8 is fine. Then we're going to save it. So then I could open it up. It just downloaded it to my computer, and we'll give it a minute to open up. But if you want to save this file with no background, you can also do that. Say you want it to be a PNG, which means there's no background on it. You can also do that. You will just want to toggle off your background. See how this checkered thing appears around it? That just means that this is an empty background. So it's kind of cool. You could actually drag and drop this onto something else. So you can save it that way. If I was going to do that, I would go to File, Export As, and I would choose a PNG. And if you do that, you will just have the bummy. It will not have a solid background, so it would just be like a clear image, which would actually work really well if you're making flyers, or say you want to make your own graphic that has maybe bummies paired with a top. Like, you could do so many different things. The sky is the limit. So this is just a crash course in how to use Photopea for this file. I'm going to look back and see. Oh, please tell me this is not frozen. Oh. Well, my computer is frozen, so I'm going to wait a minute and hopefully this is still working. Going back into Facebook. Okay. This is getting kind of long, so I'm going to go ahead and stop. And I will post this as a link probably on TikTok. That way it is accessible for anyone to see. Now, how do I make this come back in? I don't know. Photopea and we don't get along sometimes. There we go. Okay. So if anybody has any questions, I'm going to go ahead and I will probably not leave this on my Facebook group, but I will post it on TikTok. And then if anybody has questions, please drop them in the comments. Let me know if there's anything else that I can show you that would be helpful. But hopefully this will help.